As COVID-19 infections in China continue to rise, there are some countries that close the doors to the passengers coming from China or Chinese tourists to enter the countries. So, is it the good news or the bad news? So, I need you to just prepare yourself to these new restrictions if you're coming from China while going to these countries. Okay, as China prepares to lift its own border restriction on January 8, 2023, here are the countries that have announced their own restrictions on travelers from the country so far. Italy. Italy was among the first to announce new entry restrictions for travelers arriving from China. Its health minister announcing on December 28 that all airline passengers would be subject to mandatory testing upon arrival. The United States. On December 28, 2023, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced that the U.S. will require travelers arriving from China, Hong Kong, and Macau to present a negative COVID-19 test taken no more than 2 days before their departure. France. From January 5, 2023, the French government announced that it will require travelers from China to present a negative COVID-19 test no less than 48 hours before departure, and passengers will also be required to wear a mask in flight and commit to undergo random testing on arrival. The United Kingdom. From January 5th, travelers from China to the UK will be required to show a negative COVID-19 test taken no more than 2 days prior to departure. And a sample of passengers will also be subject to testing upon arrival. Spain. From January 3rd, the Spanish government will require travelers arriving from China to provide a negative COVID-19 test or proof of vaccination. And Madrid said that it would accept any vaccine recognized by the World Health Organization, which includes Chinese-made Sinovac and Sinopharm. Germany. The German government announced on January 5th that it too will introduce compulsory COVID-19 rapid tests for travelers arriving from China, as well as random checks upon entry and expanded monitoring of wastewater. Sweden. The Swedish government announced that from January 7th, travelers arriving from China will be required to provide the negative COVID-19 test upon entry. The new requirements, which will be in place for 3 weeks, will not apply to Swedish citizens, permanent residents, or those residing in the European Union or the European Economic Area. Australia. From January 5th, people traveling from China, Hong Kong, and Macau to Australia will be required to show a negative COVID-19 test taken within 48 hours prior to travel. Canada. From January 5th, all air travelers over the age of 2 arriving from China, Hong Kong, and Macau will be required to provide the negative COVID-19 test no more than 2 days before their departure or proof of recent COVID-19 infection. The measures will be reassessed after 30 days. Masking in flight will be strongly recommended but not required. Japan. From December 30, required that all travelers from China, excluding Hong Kong and Macau, submit to testing on arrival. Those who test positive will be required to quarantine for 7 days. South Korea. From January 5th, travelers from China will be required to undergo a COVID-19 test before and after arriving in the country. India. As of January 1st, India announced that it will require travelers arriving China and Hong Kong as well as Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and Thailand to provide proof of a negative COVID-19 test no more than 72 hours prior to departure. Malaysia. On December 30, 2022, the Malaysian government announced that it will begin screening all inbound travelers from China and elsewhere for fever, and will administer those who are detected to have a fever or other symptoms with a COVID-19 test. Israel announced on December 30 that all non-Israeli travelers arriving from China would be subject to pre-flight PCR tests taken within 72 hours before departure. Qatar. From January 3rd, all travelers from China must submit a negative COVID-19 test within 48 hours for departure, regardless of their vaccination status. Morocco. From January 3rd, all travelers from China, regardless of nationality, will be banned from entering Morocco. But there are some countries that are not imposing restrictions, such as Poland, Bulgaria, New Zealand, including Indonesia. So have a safe travel for you guys in my next video.